Driven, RE/MAX Hallmark's real estate show, with your hosts, Johnder, Perez, and Dan Salhany.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Driven Real Estate Show by RE/MAX Hallmark. I am your host, Johnder Perez, and
Dan Salhany. Welcome everybody. Thank you for being here.
And we are interviewing our guest today. She started in real estate about 20 years ago, initially starting by managing a portfolio of rental properties. And today she has a fantastic pre-construction condo business, working with a lot of relationships with builders. She does a little bit of resale business as well. Let's welcome Ari Zadegan to the show. Welcome, Ari.
Thank you. Good to be
Ari,
here.
let's jump right into it. We're glad to have you here. What is the secret to your success?
Hard work, consistency, and I think in a way blocking the outside world and just focusing and laser focusing and on day-to-day life of whatever that needs to be done.
Absolutely. So it's just as simple as just hard work and getting things done and focus, right? So tell us, you got into real estate around what, 2001? How did you, so explain to us, what did you do before as far as the rental properties? Give us a little bit of that journey of what did you study? How did you get into the real estate business and then getting your license? What was that journey like for you?
Well, my husband had the investment properties. So when I first started, I started taking on those rentals to rent them out, to advertise them, and get tenants. And pretty soon, I was, in a way, simplifying the system in a way that, I will reach out to the best tenants and I will produce much higher rent that he ever had seen. So eventually, as we grew our portfolio, I ended up, getting more involved with real estate, looking at different properties when we were picking them up. And my kids at the time were very little. They were 2 years and 3 years old. And when I first brought up the idea of getting into real estate, of course, you will hear many no's. Oh, no, that's a tough job. That's a man's world and you can't get into. The very first thing I learned in my life is learn how to say no and how to get yes. So I ended up, regardless, going in, registering, and my husband at the time didn't know. So I registered and I started enrolling. And here I am 20 years down the road.
And it's been quite a journey. So, I mean, you've achieved, as far as RE/MAX is concerned, the 100% Club, Platinum Club, consistently Chairman, Titan Club. You have your RE/MAX Hall of Fame Award, RE/MAX Lifetime Achievement Award. So when a lot of us Hallmarkers see you, it's like, wow, Ari is so successful. She does amazingly well. She has fantastic relationships with builders. And yet this was a 20 or so year overnight success story. And so what was one of the biggest challenges you'd say, like you didn't always have these relationships with the builders, and certainly your business looked differently back then. What was the biggest challenge you faced when you first started out, and then how did you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge, and that I guess goes with many new agents, is just how to break out of their families and friend circles. And pretty much everyone who starts, they will start with friends and families close by. And then to go through that step to the outside world, it becomes a hurdle. So I can say I learned a lesson, and I got hurt enough to learn that when I am out helping out family members, it's my devoted time to them. So I'm giving the gift of my time to them. And but my main concern was and focus was getting into the outside world. So the show is on the minute that I'm up. So, and I tell my kids all the time that you're constantly being interviewed. So that's how I embrace the lifestyle of real estate. So I eat and breathe real estate.
Right.
So I like during our preliminary interview yesterday, I like one of your comments that you made and I just want you to elaborate. I mean, you mentioned it a few seconds ago, but regarding your friends and family not being sufficient enough to support your business and so forth. And I think that, I wrote this quote down yesterday that in your mind, in your mindset, you're actually doing them a favor.
Yep.
And, and I asked you the question, I said, well, when you run into family and friends and, many people tend to give their, people that are connected with them a little bit of a break here and a little bit of a break there. And I asked you the question and I said, well, do you give them any kind of breaks with respect to what you charge them with commission and so forth? And I'm going to let you go from there and then kind of answer that and tell us about your attitude with respect to that. Because I think it resonates with everybody here. We all run into people that, want something for nothing.
I think, if you're dedicating your time to the family as much as you dedicate to other clients, you should be charging the same. Mm-hmm. So there shouldn't be any discount because they're families or friends. What you do for them is what pretty much you do for every other clients that you should be doing, saving them money, negotiate hard, and put them in places and let them think outside of the box and to push them that way. One very recent example of that was purchasing a property for my brother. And having said that, in 3 days, I can tell, based on the numbers, I have saved him about $160,000. That's way more than my 5%.
Mm-hmm.
So your whole value proposition, and I know during our conversations yesterday, you spoke heavily about the fact that, you got into investment, into pre-construction. You noticed that there was a window of opportunity there for people to prosper. You obviously didn't reserve that just for yourself, and you kind of built this business based on the pre-construction and resale, where the pre-construction is the majority of your business. So I think what you're trying to convey to us is that you've made money for a lot of people, and a lot of people that are friends and family. And as you mentioned earlier, that whenever you wake up in the morning, you're being interviewed. So it sounds to me that no matter what element you're in or what environment you're in, even if it is amongst your friends, your behavior is a certain way. So they look upon you a certain way.
Yeah, the expectation is established right from the get-go that you're coming to me because you want to dip into my wealth of knowledge. And I don't think you will get anyone with wealth of knowledge for free. So that conversation never pops up. And for that, I will, help them as much as I can, like any other clients. But I think the main thing is you have to value yourself first, and you have to know your value proposition before you would be able to transfer that to your audience. If you know how much you're worth and what you bring on the table, then it's easy to have that conversation open with clients, with families or friends.
Well, it sounds like you've also created this impression, right? That if I'm worth a value or a full value for what you're going to get out of me and the resources and so forth. So I think the fact that you're plugged in and what you bring to them as far as information and data and insight and, maybe some cutting edge stuff and being ahead of the, just knowing so much about what's being developed in your communities, that's a benefit to them, right? These are people that want to invest their money, and you're bringing that data and information to them, which creates value for them. So good for you for sticking to your guns, and good for you for embracing that your value is worth a 100% and should not be discounted regardless of the relationships and so forth. So
absolutely.
Johnder?
So Ari, you've had quite a long career in terms of the business, and so you've seen some different fluctuations in the market, challenges in the market, ups and downs. So why don't you share with us how you build up your business up until this point, and then a little bit about, once we got into the challenges we face with the global pandemic, the COVID pandemic, how did you shift your business? So I guess when you started out, how did you build your business up? You know, how did you make it through almost 2 decades of the business? And then up until recently, what did you do to address the recent challenges in our market?
I think, with market does what it does. We can't control that, and we are not responsible for the market. But what we have to do is to give that firsthand information to the clients so they would be prepared. I think the element of unexpected is what flips clients. And if you give them a heads up, even if of the worst news, they are prepared. And that's what they're hiring us for. Because I always believe that when market is shifting, it shifts overnight. However, for the effect to show to general consumers, it takes about 3 to 4 months for them to see it. So there is a build-up effect before they see. So if I'm ahead of the game by 3 months and I tell them, okay, what to expect, and this is what we're seeing in the shift, that by itself has a value so they can govern themselves accordingly. And for that reason, I think we saw the shift in 2017. We saw the shift, again with COVID, advising them and helping them to remove that emotional element from their decision making. Real estate, it's emotional transaction for consumers when they are buying or selling. Our job is just to make it as less emotional as it could possibly be, so you can narrow it down on the facts and the numbers and to give them the strategy. And during COVID, what we pretty much did, we reached out to all of our sellers to make sure that, okay, calm down, sky's not falling yet, and bring them out of the market. Because the anxiety of them being in the market for long, it was hard, but bring them back in the market to purchase.
Right.
And that's how they won.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like over the years, you built up your book of business, just simply put, by connecting with your clients, providing sound advice, removing the emotion out of it, yet, understanding and empathizing, obviously, with them that, yes, it does take a lot of emotional toll on you, but if you let emotion get into the way, you won't see the facts and figures that's going on in the market, and you won't be able to navigate it properly. So what does your business look like today as far as, you have a very good sized pre-construction condo business, and you've got a great relationship with the who's who of developers and builders here in the GTA, and I'm sure you have contacts all throughout. And internationally, I remember you were also in Japan. I think that was what, last year, was it?
Last year, yeah.
Last year, right? So building such a massive worldwide network. What does your business look like as far as, pre-construction, resale? You mentioned a little bit about commercial. What does that breakdown look like, and how do you manage all that?
I think, as a realtor, you need to know all the products. Yes, our focus is in pre-construction and assignment, but you need to understand resale as well. And I think with any person, any buyer or sellers, they need to be able to diversify. So we move them into different products depending on what stage of the game they are in. And that comes, you have to have that knowledge to help them out. I've been involved in construction, conversion of properties, on pre-construction, on assignments, on condo world, in commercial world. And you have to understand all the products to be able to advise accordingly. That's how my business has been made in, in a sense. At the end of the day, it's looking at what the motive of your client is and sitting down with them and see how you can leverage on what they've got and where you will put their money and how much of it for them to see themselves in a year time frame, 5-year time frame, and 10 years time frame.
That's right.
So Ari, I want to go back to a comment you made a couple minutes ago, and that was when you said basically that you're 3 to 4 months ahead of them with where things are happening. And I think when COVID came in, that was kind of happening in your world, as you explained to us yesterday. And I think that this just goes to, you know, and I asked you the question as well yesterday, you know, are these things that came naturally to you, or are these things that you had a lot of knowledge in, you know, prior to getting into real estate? And, you know, 30 seconds ago, you just mentioned being versatile in commercial real estate development, you know, construction itself. Is this stuff that you had big backgrounds in prior to getting into real estate?
Well, no, not really. My main experience has been gained throughout my career and 5 years prior to that. However, one thing that, you know, I was raised with the notion that, you know, when I was a kid falling down, my dad will scream at me if I cried, because he will say, you don't get to cry. First, you have to put a Band-Aid on and take care of yourself, then you can break down. So I grew up with this mentality that in crisis, I don't cave in. I will confront the crisis, and I get out and look at the outside of the box and see how I can see the opportunity in the midst of all difficulties. And down the road, I will have my moments, but it won't happen in the midst of crisis. So having said that, going back to your question, did it come to you naturally? It did, because I learned how to rebound very quickly. And you rebound by removing the emotions when life not treating you right, and put it in a box, put it on a side, and now look at the facts, and based on the facts, make the decision and execute.
So it was it's become a learned habit, essentially.
Yep.
Right? Started off with your dad giving you some insight as a child, and then I guess that, you know, you applied all of these thoughts and this reasoning and this mental mindset into now what's developed into a very strong real estate business. So fantastic. So you're in a situation with COVID. I'm just going to go back to yourself and your son who works with you. And COVID hits, or pre-COVID hits. You mentioned something to me yesterday, and I think that this is about, you know, I've always said to a lot of agents when we coach them and mentor them and so forth, it's not knowing a lot about a lot, it's knowing a little bit about a lot that makes you valuable and makes you have presence in conversation and so forth. So you mentioned yesterday that you were very in tune with what was coming down the pipeline with respect to COVID because of other connections that you had made and so forth. How did that impact your business? And like, what steps did you take knowing months in advance that this was going to be something you were going to be dealing with?
Well, back in January, in February, I have a lot of friends and families in Iran, and I knew that COVID has started from China, going now to Iran, and it's spreading into Europe. So it was inevitable that it's going to come our way as well. And at the time, I remember I sent an email sometime in, I believe it was late February, to all my client base that if you need to get line of credit, get out there and apply for it now. Doesn't matter whether you need it or not. If you need to pay down, just lighten up, because this is going to come our way. And the only way for you to survive the tsunami that's going to hit us is for you to be financially fit and strong. This will pass, but you have to be able to get from point A to point B. So a lot of clients did go out and they got the line of credits. They did whatever that they need to do. And they were calling me. I had a conversation with a client. So now what? I got it. I don't really need it, but you told me to go get it and I got it now. COVID hit in coming April. He had to shut down. And that's what saved him to get to the point that he is right now. And we're searching for another property.
So it sounds like the prudent part about this conversation is just awareness.
Yeah.
and being on top of your game, and always a little bit ahead of, and that's just about spending time, right? Doing research, being aware, and so forth. So, Johnder.
Speaking about spending time, thank you for that setup, Dan. You accomplish you accomplished so much on a with your career. You accomplished so much, and of course, we talked about habits. We talked about properly understanding the markets and spending time on the markets. So, Ari, you wouldn't be able to do that unless you are a very organized and very intentional individual. So, what would you say your daily schedule looks like? What do you do every single day?
Call, text, email. That's all we're supposed to do. Call, text, email. That's what we need to do. And right now we can't be in front of people, but you can be somewhat in front of people. I've had meetings with clients, but you need to, it doesn't matter how busy we get. And this has been also as part of Jonathan's life now. We may get busy with offers, with listing and all the rest of it, but our day is not ending if you're not making that calls. We need to make anywhere between 20 to 50 calls a day.
And you're talking about calls to your existing clients, calls to new prospects, follow-up calls.
Yeah. And that's the main core of the business. And I think a lot of times we do get busy with a lot of work that we do, but in our real estate, the effect of what we do shows 3 months down the road.
That's right.
So if you're busy now and we're not making our calls, guess what? 3 months from now, we're going to be outside in the backyard by the pool.
Well, hey, which may not necessarily be a bad thing, right? But
yes.
So amazingly enough, in our, I'm in the Ottawa marketplace, Ari, and we're going through what Toronto started going through 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So for me, there's a big encouragement factor to do exactly. And I hope everybody that's on the call here is listening to the fact that, 18, 19 years ago, you started off with essentially at ground zero with no knowledge of real estate, no knowledge of pre-construction, no knowledge of any of that stuff. But over time and through our conversation, what I realized with respect to how you built your business, it's just about, you've been dipping into a whole bunch of different facets of the real estate world and what it affords us as realtors. I mean, honest to goodness, I've been doing this for 32 years, and I always say to myself, how blessed are we to be in an environment and a business that allows you to have a lifestyle that you really want, book your own time, book your own hours and so forth, and make as much as you can possibly make from a financial reward perspective. So, what keeps you motivated each and every day? I mean, you're a very upbeat person. I'm sure you've got your ebbs and flows just like everybody else. You've got your emotions and challenges and so forth. But what keeps you going? I mean, your business is growing all the time.
Yeah. I think for me is November is the best time of the year for me because I do goal setting on personal and business level. And we were sitting with Jonathan this past November and going through our numbers, and we picked a number that how many transactions we want to do, and those transactions we wanted to do, it had to bring value on a personal life. So what is it that we want to do? We were supposed to be on a cruise for 2 weeks this summer, and that was our reward, but hey, we had to cancel due to COVID. But I think there was a quote that I read, and it was saying, why would you settle with good when great can be within your reach? So we always set the goal to do our best and then topped it up by another 30%. And that scared us at the time that we were doing it, but we knew that we need to be scared. We need to be on our toes. We were never comfortable days in, days out because we had to meet that quota. And that quota wasn't only the financial benefit that we had, because it brought values back to the family. We did things, we made memories. Whatever that moves you, put that on. I have 3 boards in my office. I have a personal board, and I have a business board, and then I have my calendars, personal calendar and business calendar. When I don't meet them every morning when I come, I have to look at what I have to do. And it has broken down to what are the items that I have to do on a daily basis to reach my quarterly goal. So you need to remind yourself. We get busy and then we forget.
So for everybody that's on the call, and the consistency here with what Ari is suggesting and in what her habits are and her systems day to day, I mean, get a calendar, get a board, take some time at a certain point of the year to set your goals for next year. Make those calls, right? Talk about, if you don't have inventory, talk about inventory that another realtor in your office might have. I mean, you have that right. Talk about inventory that another brokerage might have. You have that right, but it's about getting the information out to the public. And it's all about being, connectivity in some way, shape, or form, whether it's social media, whether it's picking up the phone, calling past clients, new clients, whatever it is from there. So I'm just reading one of your quotes that I wrote down yesterday about, in every difficulty, there's an opportunity to regroup. Yep. So you've obviously faced those adversities and difficulties, just as I believe all of us have. We as a brokerage, you guys as independent realtors and independent business people. But it's just about, it sounds like it's just about taking that step back immediately, not cocooning yourself, right? Because that's the automatic when things go sideways, is to completely back off, but to actually take that time to regroup, look at what's working, what's not working, and what's the foresight into, where do we need to take this amazing vehicle that we have. So Johnder, I'll let you wrap up there.
Thank you. So Ari, we've learned so much from you in just a short amount of time, but this may be the most important part of the show, because when we look at your career, you've had a fantastic one. And when I say that, I'm sure, Ari, you're very, very humble. So even if I say that, you're like, you know what, I've got a long way to go, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. And so you've built it up to this point, and some of us joining us today are Hallmarkers, some of them may be realtors from our friends from other brokerages. But we've got one thing in common, is that we're looking for constant ways to improve and to grow. And so some of us may have been in the business for less than a year and just starting out. Some of us may be in the business for 5, 10, 20 years. Some of us may have been in the business for 30 and more years. And yet, some of us are experiencing challenges, especially with the market situation that we're in today, which we have no control over, but we have a control over what we do. So Ari, here's a big question for you. What is your advice to Hallmarkers, to realtors, to anybody listening to this that needs that guidance as to what they should be doing over the next couple of days, couple of months, over the next year?
I think let the news be for your entertainment. Don't get wrapped up in all the bad news that media will bring to you. At the end of the day, pick the number. How many transactions you want to do? You want to do 50? You want to do 100? You want to do 1,000? We've got millions of population in here. So for you to conquer that number, it's not that difficult. You just have to focus. When the market is good or market is bad, it's irrelevant, because in any market, people do buy and people do sell. So that's just to entertain you that the market is up, market is down, the stats are this or that. It's all irrelevant. If you need to move, you need to move. Or if you need to sell, you need to sell. So you just have to be in front of those people. For a new realtor that you're getting in, if you sit down and make up a list of people that you know, from your dentist to your dry cleaner to your guy who picks up your garbage, your landscaper, you know more than 50 people. Put the name down, talk to them. Look at them as your business partner. Those are the ones that you're giving them business, and they will be, if they know you're capable, they're gonna give you business as well. And know what your capabilities are. If you're not there, continuously learn. I don't think any one of us, even me after 20 years, I know it all. I have to continuously learn.
Absolutely. And such amazing advice. So Ari, thank you so much for joining us. Jonathan, your son is also here and he's also joined us as well. One last thing before we wrap up today. I know all of a sudden, I don't know, I guess it's the law of the universe. So I sent you a couple of realtors asking for different pre-construction projects all of a sudden, and we didn't even have our show yet. And you were busily answering that email. And one thing about Ari is you send her an email and within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, she says, oh, thank you, I'm going to get in touch with them. So she's amazing. Ari, if anybody's looking for pre-construction project help or advice, or, you know, if there's something, if they want to send business down to Toronto or to any of the GTA locations that you serve, how is it best to reach you and your team? Your website, email address, phone number, social media?
Go ahead. You can go on the website, www.thezadegangroup.com. Or you can call me on my cell phone, 416-618-0188. Or Jonathan will be happy to take calls as well, 649-389-6007.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
We actually have a question, Ari. And I think this is a testament to how you present yourself. And, you know, this goes back to when you wake up, you're being interviewed. So we've got a question here asking, what kind of camera and what kind of lighting do you use for, well, but I think it's very important, right? Again, you know, you're coming onto these videos, and this is going to be a way of communicating moving into the future as well, right? It already has been, but you know, moving forward, and I think that the environments, I mean, mine is terrible right now. I'm looking at mine going, oh my gosh, this is horrible, and hers is amazing. But
I'm gonna find out what it is.
No, but you know, if I'm interviewing for a listing, or I'm interviewing for a buyer presentation, or whatever the case may be, and you're like this with your communication, and yesterday your lighting was fabulous as well, and you were outside and you had perfect lighting. I think that this is a really great question, because it's a testament to all the other things that you probably do to set up, whether it's your, you know, back in the day when we had feature sheets or your videos and so forth. So I'll let you respond to, is there a certain kind of camera? And I'm writing this down too, by the way, or lighting.
I'm just trying to see, let me see. It's called, you know what? Let me remove the camera.
So tip number one, don't use the camera on your computer. If you're going to be doing Zoom interviews and so forth, you should spend the $100 and buy, or $150 and buy a good camera. This is now an investment into a new marketing tool, guys. This is something new.
You know what? I can send you the name. It doesn't have a name. It's, I think, ANGE2. But I can certainly get you the name and send it off to you.
Send it to me, Ari, by email, and we'll add it to the, when we post this up on the video channels, we'll add it to the comments.
Absolutely. Definitely camera is a good thing, because like, it is like when we say, when we're showing a house, the first 30 seconds is what counts. Your first 30 seconds with your client is what counts. And you got to be prepared and be at your best.
Well, first impression is very important, right?
Mm-hmm.
First impression is very important, and I think its continuous impression is very important.
Yeah.
So we've got. I'm just looking through here to see if there's any questions. Oh, and the lighting. Somebody wants to know the lighting too. I love it.
I think it's just the camera. It's not the lighting. It's my put lights in my office.
Ari naturally has this ambiance.
And I have my glow, and I'm not pregnant.
So, but I do think, and I know it was important for you yesterday, one of the questions that you asked Johnder and I is, what kind of environment should I be in? Is the lighting okay? Is everything good? So even for the simplest thing as talking to your peers, right, and talking to the agents that you work with, how you're going to come across and how you're going to present even in this environment is crucial for you. You know, for just for impression. And I've always been a firm believer. Now I'm wearing my Remax Hallmark golf shirt here, and good. No, actually I'm feeling very guilty that I didn't, you know, put a jacket on and so forth, which is the norm for me.
It's summertime. Come on. Ari's going to the pool after this. So.
But you know what, Johnder, I agree with you on that comment that it is summertime. but I also think that the way that you show up every day impacts how your day is going to flow.
That's right.
Right. And I think that that's very important for everybody here. And I mean, I see everybody in nice suits and nice dresses, and the ones that have their cameras on, and then Yash just turned his off. I love you, Yash. You look great. No, but I truly believe that the world looks at us in that perspective, and it creates an impression. And you know what? The brand itself has done a fabulous and amazing job of creating a persona that a RE/MAX realtor is up here.
Yeah.
Right? And that when you deal with a RE/MAX realtor, and I get it, I had an agent just join me, and sorry, I'm just sharing some stuff with you guys here, but I had an agent just join us, and they're brand new coming to RE/MAX, and the realtor, this individual said, everybody thinks that RE/MAX is the best. I want to be with the best. So I think it's the same thing when, you know, you're stepping inside your car and you're getting on with your day, is that impression that you create in front of whoever you meet today, because you don't know who you're going to meet at 2 o'clock this afternoon or 3 o'clock. So any other questions for Ari, guys? Well, everybody knows how to reach her, and certainly knows how to reach Johnder or myself if you have any questions. We always appreciate you guys coming onto these shows, these driven shows. The purpose for it is, honestly, you've got somebody that's got great credibility, has great insight, you know, wasn't spoon-fed, has worked very hard to get to where they are, and came into this industry with very to little no knowledge. It's taken some time to build it up, but has progressed and always continues to grow and so forth. And if any of you can grab 1, 2, 3 nuggets of inspiration here today, then Ari's done what she came to do.
Make sure you send her your pre-construction questions, and if you want any access to projects, Ari is the best person to go to with regards to getting connections with some of the top builders in the city.
Thank you so much, Johnder. And one more thing, everyone should know that if you're having people in your circle, it's a private club membership. So don't give it away for free, and be knowledgeable enough that you will have that status within you. So when they come to you, they would be honored to be as part of you and refer other people to you.
Fantastic. Great.
Great
Thank
attitude.
you so much, Ari, again, for your time and for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for
Thank you so much.
walking and
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Day. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Happy selling.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.